He stood at the sept of Baelor, his head bowed, his voice trembling. "Joffrey Baratheon is the one true king," Ned Stark declared. "Not for honor, but for his daughter's safety." But what if mercy had prevailed over madness? What if instead of the sword, Joffrey had chosen exile or the wall for Lord Eddard Stark? The execution never happened. Ned Stark was sent to the wall, as Cersei had initially wanted, and the political chessboard of Westeros shifted dramatically. Unlike Jon, he had no curiosity about politics beyond duty. No. But news from the south wouldn't stop. His daughter Sansa remained a hostage guest in King's Landing. Arya still escaped, but with less urgency. Roose Bolton, always calculating, would not have seen enough instability to turn against House Stark yet. But more importantly, he learns what lies beyond the wall. He sees Craster's Keep. He hears of the White Walkers. Robb finally prepares for war when Joffrey executes Seer Barristan and begins torturing Sansa openly. Robb marches, and this time Ned supports him not as Lord of Winterfell, but as a commander from the Night's Watch. If Jon joins Ned, the North is stronger, but the Wall is weaker, a problem no one sees yet. It breaks tradition, it defies oath, but the realm is already broken. Slowly, his sense of duty is pulled northward. Again. Walder Frey would have remained a cold ally, not a potential betrayer. The Red Wedding would never have happened. However, without Tyrion fleeing King's Landing, she doesn't have him as an advisor. She takes a different path. She doesn't rush across the sea. She builds stronger alliances in Mairen and Astapor. Her delay makes her smarter and far more dangerous when she finally arrives. Robb, though furious, was caught between duty and rage. Tywin sends for Jaime and Cersei becomes more paranoid. And while the kingdoms are busy stabbing each other, the true war approaches. But this time, Ned Stark is alive to warn them. And for the first time, Westeros has someone who's seen both war and the dead, and has the respect of both the South and the North. Without the Battle of Blackwater, the city is tense but intact. Without his father's death as a spark, would the young wolf have declared war? But this time, with careful planning, no betrayal at the twins, no Roose Bolton plotting behind their back. Jaime is still a hostage, and Catelyn negotiates with him herself, perhaps this time trading him not for honor, but for strategy. The North did not immediately rebel. Robb Stark did not march south, at least not yet. And with that one decision, thousands of lives were spared at least temporarily. At the Wall, Ned's honor would have remained intact. He brings logic where once there was just youth and fire. The North doesn't lose the war, they grind it.
Yes.
Renly, still alive, amasses more troops through marriage and charisma. And this time, with Tywin not distracted by Robb's war, the Lannisters take Renly more seriously. Tyrion might not have become Hand of the King, or he might have, but with more time to plan defenses. Robb would have waited. He might have sent envoys. The bannermen wouldn't have been so easily convinced to rebel. But this delay comes at a cost. Without northern pressure, the Lannisters had more room to breathe. Tywin Lannister could focus all his cunning against Renly and Stannis. The War of the Five Kings becomes the War of Three. And here comes the twist. Without Robb's immediate rebellion, Stannis is no longer the last hope of honor in the realm. Stannis, backed by Melisandre, marches early. Without the Northern Alliance, his campaign is weaker. Meanwhile, at Castle Black, Ned sees a storm brewing. He meets Maester Aemon. He learns what Jon is becoming. But the political game drags him back. Letters from Robb, messages from Sansa, a raven from Catelyn. The Lannisters hold Sansa as a pawn. Now the North rises, not out of vengeance, but necessity. At this point, two scenarios split. One where Jon Snow supports Ned, and one where he stays loyal to the Watch. Back in King's Landing, Joffrey's madness worsens without Tyrion's moderating influence. Then comes Daenerys. She's still in Essos. She still gets dragons. But Westeros is in slightly better shape. Fewer battles, more centralized power.
Ow.
Meanwhile, Ned and Robb fight Tywin's forces near the Riverlands. Ned's presence changes everything. He reminds Robb of patience. He reminds Bannerman of unity. And far away, at Dragonstone, Melisandre realizes something. The prince who was promised was never Stannis. It might be Jon, or even Ned. The Night King's army begins to move, slowly, unnoticed, beyond the politics, beyond the castles and crowns. He knows honor can't stop monsters. He knows peace is temporary. Would they listen to him? Maybe not. But when the first snows fall in King's Landing, and the White Raven flies south, they'll remember the man they once called a fool for choosing honor. They'll finally understand. Ned Stark's death didn't break the realm. His survival might have saved it.